Welcome back to another lap guide, fellas. I'm INXILE GDR. If you watch these lap guides regularly, definitely consider subscribing and throwing us a like if you found anything helpful in there. This week it's Scirocco at Brands Hatch on the soft tyres, racing soft that is. Plenty of part throttle and part braking around here. That is going to be where you will find most of the time. So yeah, definitely work on that. Maximize the track widths as well, all the way from the white lines to the white lines. We have remembered to turn cones on, so let us know if that helps you. And without further ado, let's jump on board. So here we go, on board, down to turn 1, just braking a little bit after the cones there on the left hand side, into a nice long gentle trail braking. Crack that throttle a touch before the apex, really start squeezing it on now, using that green stuff for the outside tyres. Once again braking just after the cones here, just where the one board disappears past your A-pillar there. Plenty of weight under the threshold braking section, nice little bit of trail, bit of coast in the middle to help the car rotate. Then crack that throttle to keep the rolling speed up, and as we come towards the end of that U-turn, start pushing in the throttle. Gonna swing it back to the right hand side of the road to open up the entry here. Nice little gentle brake, cracking the throttle on the apex once again. We found holding fourth there was very advantageous. If you get losing too much drive on the exit, do use third. Once again braking after the double cones, pretty much where the single cone is. Nice gentle braking down to the second cone there on the apex, and squeezing the throttle in nice and gently on the way out. Pretty much finishing that corner with the car in a straight line on the white line on the right hand side of the road. Now gently diagonal is straight back to the left hand side for the entry to this really fast right hander. It's going to be just a braze on the brakes here to get the nose down, drop a single gear into fourth and start squeezing in that throttle already. When that second cone flicks past you, you should be pretty much good to go for wide open throttle. I was holding fourth here, I'm not sure if that's ideal. Braking well and truly after the cones, just a dab on the brakes, straight back into 50% braking, using all that ripple strip on the exit. Once again, picking up fifth, it's going to be a single gear drop with a nice gentle brake. We don't want to move the weight around in the car too much here. Start feeding that throttle back in. Careful to stay off the grass. Now, nice big punch on the brake, straight back into trail, and crack that throttle on the apex and pull the car out. Plenty of part throttle and part braking here at Brands Hatch, and we're going to use this runoff on the left hand side here to turn in. Stab on the brakes once again, nice gentle trail braking section, crack the throttle to keep the car rolling, and sort of winding in wide open throttle earlier than you think, but you also need to make sure that you've started unwinding the steering wheel so you don't get too much understeer, and staying on the right hand side for the shortest run to the line. And hopefully that helps. On board for a little bit of fast mo now. Didn't realise I took 2 bites at the ACLD, preferably just one. Nice long threshold section, little coast in the middle. That momentarily coast just helps the car swing around the corner. Nice and gentle on the brake here. Holding fourth if you're carrying enough speed, use third if you're not. And stab on the brake, let the car come back with the nice gentle trail braking. Start squeezing in the throttle after the apex. Just trying to minimize the inputs so we can maximize the speed on these runs. Nice little gentle brake, drop a gear, second cone is the apex you're looking for. Once again here, little jab on the brakes, get the nose down. Pretty much all these corners are very similar. Little jab on the brake, get the nose down, get the gear selected. Keep the throttle open so the car has a nice radius. If the throttle's, if you got too much brake or too much throttle, you're going to understeer. So you're really trying to have the right amount of brake on the way in there. So for the eagle eyes, just keep an eye on that accelerator pedal bar and the right hand side for the run to the line. So on board in chase view now, here we go. Just braking just after the cones. Nice easy trail braking section, cracking the throttle just to keep the car rolling through that apex. Wide open throttle when you realise the car is going to use all the grass and none of the sand. So braking just before the one board, definitely after the Gran Turismo cones here. We're going to go down just the single gear in third. Nice long trail braking section, a little bit of a coast in the middle there to let the car rotate, crack the throttle back open. Get the car rolling off the corner, and as we start to straighten the car, it's back to wide open throttle. Gently come back to the right hand side now. It's going to be nice and gentle on the brakes just to get the nose in. Crack the throttle. I was staying in fourth. I found that helped with the drive off the exit. But if you're struggling to carry a little bit of speed, definitely try third through there. Now a little bit of punch on the brake again, which we didn't put the little stab tablet up. Nice long threshold, cracking that throttle, just trying to keep the car rolling through these long apex corners. Squeezing on the throttle nice and early on the exit there, using a touch of the understeer and the tyre wind up to pull the car off the corner there. Now gently moving the car back to the left hand side of the road. We're going to use fourth for the next right hander, so it's going to be a nice little tap on the brakes just to keep the nose down, let the front grip, crack the throttle almost immediately, keep the car rolling, and then wide open throttle pretty much as soon as that cone goes past. We had to wait there, we carried a little too much speed on the entry, so well and truly after the brake cones again, nice little dab on the brake, get the nose down, get the car turned in, and then pretty much crack the throttle to keep them rolling. And then when you feel like you're not going to understeer off the exit, so both that corner that just went and the corner coming, very similar techniques, very similar speeds too, I think. I'll have to keep my eye out for that. And just feeding the throttle back in nicely. So a little punch on the brakes again, then turn in, get that throttle cracked, let the car roll through the corner, and then wide open throttle. Balance between understeer and opening the steering out to the edge of the road on most of these corners. Back across, straight line back to the left hand side of the road. Going to use a little bit of dirt and this road here on the left to turn in. Cracking the throttle right on the apex. Wide open throttle when we feel the car's not going to run off the edge of the road. Probably had another meter there we could use, but safety. Just trying to bank this lap at the end of the day. And keeping on the right hand side of the road as we swap over to a little bit of fast mode now. So punch on the brakes, long trail braking section, long part throttle section, and wide open using all the green stuff on the exit. Big trail braking, even longer, or big threshold, longer trail braking, massive part throttle section, and finally getting back to wide open throttle. Dab on the brakes. Swing the car in, holding fourth unless you're not carrying enough speed, then try a little bit of third. Stab on the brake down here. Long trail and part throttle. Squeezing the throttle down slowly as the car comes back to us on the exit. Worth a fair bit of time there. Angling the car gently back to the left hand side of the road. Once again, same technique. Light braking to keep the nose down as we turn in, part throttle to keep the apex speeds up, and wide open throttle and unwinding the steering wheel on the exits. Back to the right hand side, nice punch on the brake. Trying to straight line back to the left hand side of the road. Practice using this if you're really trying to find those last couple of tenths. Otherwise you can just play it safe there. It's pretty much the same technique except not running the left hand tyres off the road. And now on board for bumper view down to turn 1, just braking well and truly after the cones. Nice stab into a long trail brake. Plenty of part throttle keeping this apex momentum up. wide open when we realise we're not going to run off the green stuff on the edge of the road there. Really long threshold braking section here just after those cones swing past the screen, just before the one board. Nice long trail, keeping the nose down as long as possible. Release the brake and do the tiniest little bit of a coast there. That helps the car rotate. Part throttle to keep the rolling speed up. Wide open throttle as the car begins to straighten, aiming for the right hand side of the road. Nice gentle brake. Once again, I was holding fourth. You can try third there if you lack carrying some of that speed. I found nice driving fourth personally. Other people are using third. Little stab on the brake here. Nice long trail braking section, keeping the nose down and the car coming all the way to that second cone on the apex. Crack the throttle, keep the speed up, trying to squeeze wide open throttle nice and early. Too early there will understeer off the track. Too late, you will lose tenths towards the end of the straight. A few laps will give you a good guide of where you have to feed it in. Just keep working in it. Nice triangle line back to the left hand side of the road. Nice light braking section here. Try not to wipe off too much speed. Get that throttle open. Second cone is the apex, and pretty much where you can go wide open. We had to delay wide open there, just carried a bit too much speed on entry, slid wide. Just once again, little punch on the brake. Nice trail, long part throttle, wide open, using the ripple strip on the exit. So no ripple strip on this exit, trying to stay off the grass. So once again, nice little jab on the brake there, crack that throttle open, and wide open throttle when you realise you're not going to find yourself in the grass there. Nice little stab on the brake again, trying to trail, get the throttle open for the apex, speed up, and wide open, balancing that understeer with acceleration on the exits. So aiming to the left now. We're going to dip the left hand tyres off to open up the entry. Don't have to do that. Cracking the throttle on the apex, really start feeding it in there. Wide open. You are in fourth, so you can go to wide open throttle a little bit earlier than you think, because the engine's not going to have enough power to bag it up. And staying to the right hand side of the road for the quickest run to the line. On board fast mo now. So stab the brakes, nice long trail, keeping the nose down, crack that throttle, keep the momentum in the car, wide open throttle on the exit, long threshold, long trail, touch of coast in the middle to rotate, part throttle to keep the car moving forward, wide open throttle as you straighten the car, back to the right hand side of the road, light brake to dip the nose down, use third if you really need to. Touch the threshold, long trail, even longer part throttle, wide open throttle when you realise you're using all the road. Just gently move the car back to the left hand side of the road now. So nice brush on the brakes, keep the nose down, crack the throttle, push the car off the apex. Once again, stab on the brake, gentle turn in, part throttle to carry the speed, wide open throttle to use all the exit. Same technique, but with no curb on the exit this time. Plenty of part throttle, keep those apex speeds up. Moving back to the left hand side of the road now. And there we go. That's a lap of Brands Hatch. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you all next week.